Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, principals, teachers, students, and viewers of Kundu to IBS School Debate Competition Finals between Kokopo Secondary and Vuna Bosco here in Kokopo, hosted by Kokopo Secondary. IBS School Debate Competition is facilitated with the aim of developing young leaders of our nation for a better PNG and schools fostering and building relationships. The IBS School Debate Competition is proudly brought to you by our partners, Kundu 2, NBC, presenting partners, and New Guinea, official carrier, major sponsors, National Capital District, Governor Honorable Powers Pakop, National Gaming Control Board, Electoral Commission, Office of Climate Change, LNA Group of Companies, NASFAN, Brian Bell, Ipetus Foundation for Enga Debate, and Honorable Luther Wenge for Lay Debate. And thank you to Kokopo Secondary for hosting the school debate competition. I am Vani Nadis Davis, who will be your chairlady for IBS School Debate Competition Finals. Before we do so, I would like to now call upon Vuna Bosco to lead us with National Anthem, Pledge, and Prayer. If I can request everyone to stand. As they make their way up, I would like each of us to take time to reflect on what our national anthem and pledge are all about. As we are here to develop our young leaders for our nation, ask ourselves, what difference can we all make as Papua New Guineans to make it a better place? And I will leave at that for us to ponder on.
Let us always remember that we are in the loving presence of God. God our Father, we thank you for this wonderful day that you have given us, especially for our debaters. We ask you to send your Spirit upon each of them, that through their debate, they may inspire other young people who are the future leaders of this nation. We pray for each of them so that they may be guided by your Spirit. At the same time, we ask your blessing for each one of us, that we may always continue doing good, especially to the nature around us, to the environment that we have, that you have given us as a gift, especially the gift of life. We make this prayer through Christ our Lord.
Thank you, Vuna Bosco. This is the final of the IBS School Debate Competition in Kokopo between Kokopo Secondary and Vuna Bosco Secondary. And I'm sure that both schools will be at their best today. And after today, we will find out who will be the winning school to represent New Guinea Island region in the IBS National Debate title in Port Moresby, up against the other provinces, that is NCD Central, Ley, and Enga Province. How are you all? You excited? Yes. Looking forward to the challenge today? And I'm sure we're going to learn a lot from the two schools who are going to be up on the stage debating. Ladies and gentlemen, the IBS School Debate Competition is proudly brought to you by our partners, Kundu 2, NBC, and New Guinea, our official carrier, major sponsors, NCDC, National Gaming Control Board, Electoral Commission, Office of Climate Change, LNA Group of Companies, NASFAN, Brian Bell, Ipatus Foundation for Enga Debate, and Honorable Luther Wenge for Morbe Province. Now, before we get into the competition, I'd like to introduce to you our adjudicators for today's final. Our adjudicator number 1 is Joycelyn Poraporo. She's manager, Kokopo branch, when working for NASFAN for more than 25 years. And she's been transferred here at Kokopo for 4 years now and working with the NASFAN branch here in Kokopo. So a round of applause for Joycelyn Poraporo. And NASFAN is also one of the sponsors of the IBS School Debate Competition too. Our second adjudicator is Mr. John Iko. He's Executive Director and founder of Weekend PNG Inc. It's an organization that mobilizes and motivates patriotic Papua New Guineans to believe in themselves to be competitive in the global community. And one of the pioneer judges for IBS School Debate Competition since inception, and a very strong believer also in developing the young people through these debate competitions. A round of applause for John Iko. And our third educator joining us today is Mrs. Eleonora Vigil. She's the principal of Olsh Wunapopo Secondary School and 31 years of teaching experience, 6 years deputy, and 12 years headmistress and principal of the school. So a round of applause for Mrs. Eleonora. Thank you. Thank you very much for your time. And of course, our timekeeper, Mr. Donald Nala, who has been with us for the last 3 days. A round of applause for him. Thank you very much. I will now read the rules of the IBS School Debate Competition. We have to do this every time. As you can see, the debate has been carried out in 3 rounds. We had the elimination round on day 1 and semifinals, which is on yesterday, day 2, and today is the final round that is between Kokopo Secondary and Vuna Bosco Secondary. The teams were given the final debate topic, and of course the draws have taken place, who is going for and who is going against the topic to avoid biasness. It's very important for the speakers to take note. The first speaker to the third speaker get 5 minutes each, while the last speaker gets 10 minutes. Warning bell will be given 1 minute before the time, 1 minute before the final time. If I can ask the timekeeper to demonstrate. And double bell on final time. Strictly palm cards with short notes. No other form of notes are allowed, and of course no other devices such as mobile phones and etc. Participants must face the audience and strictly no personal attacks when rebutting. Participants must professionally and be diplomatic in arguing their case, and strictly no mention of bureaucrats' names while you're arguing your case unless you're referencing an article in the paper or whichever document that you have obtained your reference from. The scoring will be given by the judges using the adjudication sheet based on 3 areas, which is meta, method, and manner. Each individual gains scores for presentation and is given out of 115. For an open and fair judgment, the judges will be prominent judges, of course, that you can see in front of us here, and the decision is final. The winning team in the grand final will walk away with the first prize, that is 3,000 kina worth of school materials, and qualify for the national titles in Port Moresby. The second placing will walk away with 2,000 kina worth of school supplies. And of course, all participants will receive medals, certificate of participation, and consolation giveaways from IBS. And all of the preparations are done by the respective schools and their patrons. All the best to the two schools, and congratulations to making it to the finals today. And I'm sure you're looking forward to the debate today. I would like to now introduce to the stage the two schools, Kokopo Secondary and Vuna Bosco Secondary. Round of applause for the two schools. Now introduce the school going for the topic. Kokopo Secondary is going for the topic. Let me introduce the participants for Kokopo Secondary. The first speaker is Penina Robertson, 20 years of age, grade 12, from East New Britain, and would like to be a mechanical engineer in future. The second speaker of Kokopo Secondary is Hilary Waluka, 18 years of age, grade 12, from West New Britain, and would like to be a pilot. And the third speaker of Kokopo Secondary is Manila Tiariki Fariata, 16 years of age, in grade 11, from Autonomous Region of Bougainville, and would like to be a doctor. Raymond Kala is the final speaker of Kokopo Secondary, 18 years of age, in grade 11, from Manus, and would like to be a doctor. Round of applause for Kokopo Secondary team. Now the team going against the topic is Vuna Bosco Technical Secondary. The first speaker of Vuna Bosco Secondary is Hubert Tulungenaram, 20 years of age, in grade 12, from East New Britain, and would like to be an accountant in future. The second speaker of Vuna Bosco Secondary is Ignatius Ogobi, 18 years of age, grade 12, from West New Britain, and would like to be a civil engineer in future. And the third speaker of Vuna Bosco Secondary is Edward Park, 20 years of age, in grade 12, from East New Britain, and would like to be an accountant in future. And the last and final speaker for Vuna Bosco Secondary is Stuart Coulters, 20 years of age, in grade 12, from New Ireland Province, and would like to be mining engineer in future. So round of applause for Vuna Bosco Secondary team. I would like to request the two teams to shake hands and take their seats. And the topic for debate today is economic development is more important than reducing greenhouse emission. This is one of our sponsors' topic, Office of Climate Change. We also welcome our viewers of School Debate Competition of Kundu 2 and enjoy the finals. I wish the two schools all the best of luck, and let the competition begin. I now call upon the first speaker of the affirmative team, Kokopo Secondary, going for the topic, economic development is more important than reducing greenhouse gas emission. First speaker, Penina Robertson. Round of applause.
Good morning, Chair Lady, the adjudicators, fellow debaters, viewers on Kundu 2, and the wonderful audience. As the government of the day and going for the topic, we would like to convince you that economic development is more important than reducing greenhouse gas emission. What is economic development? Economic development is what you see now. Take a look around you. The building that you sit under, the vehicle that brought you here, the money that you use, and the services that you receive every day all come under economic development. What is greenhouse gas emission? Well, Greenhouse gas emission is all about the gases that are being released every day through human activities, naturally, and even as you're sitting right now, you're releasing some form of carbon dioxide. Spare some minutes of your time with me and allow me, pardon me, let me now introduce you the members of the affirmatives. As the first speaker, I will be giving my points on the social aspects of the topic. The second speaker will be talking more about the political aspects. The third speaker will give her views on the economical aspects. And the final speaker will give a brief summary and give as well the whole recommendation of our topic. Now spare a minute of your time with me and allow me to go through the political aspects of the topic. We are not going to be a sponge used by developed nations to soak up their slugs, as in greenhouse gas emission. We did not emit most of these gases at the first place, so we should not be held responsible for somebody else's problem. We need economic development in PNG, just like Japan, Australia, and most of the developed nations in the world. We need development to curb our deteriorating service delivery in PNG. PNG is faced daily with socio-economic problems. Compared with the rest of the world, we have low development index rate. As in, just to name a few, we have poor life expectancy, and that is people die at the very early age of 55 to 60. As well as that, we have a low literacy rate. And that means many Papua New Guineans, not one, but many, do not have basic education. To add on to that, we have a high crime rate in Papua New Guinea. Take a look at the newspaper. We see headlines of criminal activities. As well as that, we have a high crime rate. To add on to that, we have a high corruption rate and a high poverty rate. Our health services are very poor. According to the survey of World Health Organization in 2010, Papua New Guinea has the highest infant mortality rate, meaning children die at birth and at the age of 1 to 5. To alleviate all these, we, the government of the day, will address essential services to improve our living standards, which will in turn sustain our economic development for the benefit of our growing population. Now that brings me to say that we, the government of the day, strongly believe that economic development is more important than reducing greenhouse gas emission. Thank you.
Round of applause for the first speaker of Kokopo Secondary going for the topic, Penina Robertson. I would like to now call upon the first speaker of Vuna Bosco Technical Secondary going against the topic, economic development is more important than reducing greenhouse gas emission. The first speaker, Hubert Tulungenaram.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson, members of the affirmative side, judges, and the audience. Good morning to you all. Economic development is not important. It is not important than reducing greenhouse gas emissions. My points will be basically on the economic aspect of the topic. The second speaker will present his argument based on the social and the environment. The third speaker will argue on the political side, while the fourth and the final speaker will summarize and finally round up all our arguments. According to the Oxford Advanced Learning Dictionary, economic development is a process of growing and becoming better and bigger and too strong in financial and money capability to provide goods and services to sustain the human demands and needs. On the other hand, reducing gas emission, it means the process of lowering gas emission from human activities. First of all, I would like to rebut on what the affirmative stated. He stated something about infrastructure. Well, if you talk about infrastructure, economic development, then what is happening out there? People are dying, people are crying, and yet you are denying the fact that you are not involving in emitting gas to the atmosphere. Anyway, back to my points. Firstly, for a friendly environment and to save a lot of money, we must invest on alternative source of energy, like, for example, hydropower, windmills, solar energy, and to power industries rather than using fossil fuels like oil, coal, and LNG, which do more harm to the environment. They release huge amount of gas into the air. But mind you, the environment or the Mother Earth does not compromise. Secondly, we can invest on other economic development projects to generate income for the country, rather than cutting down all trees, extracting minerals and fossils like LNG to earn income. They do a lot of harm to the environment. Mind you, they do a lot of harm to the environment. And one of the friendly and carbon-free way of earning money for economic development is investing on ecotourism. Now, mind you, ecotourism is a form of service. Now, service, on the other hand, you have the factors of primary, manufacture, and service. The two factors that generate a lot of income are service and manufacture. And look at the other countries. Fiji, half of its country's income is through tourism. Then why wasting time on cutting down trees, since on the primary sector, it only generates small amount because commodities, the price in the market fluctuate. It changes, it goes up now, it comes down, giving inconvenience to the producer. Finally, developing nations like Papua New Guinea are very hungry for money. Papua New Guineans are very hungry for money, for development purpose. Don't be blind. Don't be blind. Open the two wide eyeballs and look. To sum up everything, I would like to state again that economic development is not important than reducing gas emission. Thank you.
Round of applause for the first speaker of Vuna Bosco Secondary, Hubert Tulunginaram. Would like to now introduce the second speaker of the affirmative team, Kokopo Secondary, going for the topic, Hilary Waluka.
Good morning, Chair Lady, adjudicators, my fellow debaters, ladies and gentlemen, and our loyal viewers. As mentioned, I will be mainly elaborating on the political aspect of this issue. Before going on, it fascinates me to see how the opposition talks about investing. That's exactly what we're saying. We are saying that we need to make the economic development of our country be more important in PNG. We need to look at the importance of this. That is basically what we're saying, by investing in something more better. Thanks for helping us on that note. Now, allow me to run you through the political aspect of this issue and give you the perspective so that you may see clearly that economic development is important more than reducing greenhouse emission in PNG politically. As a developing nation, we must choose to be more economically powerful and strong because we are developing, and we must choose for a more stronger economy. If we're going against for economic development, then we're simply telling ourselves that we don't want civilization. Well, let me tell you this. Civilization is one of the greatest things that human came about doing. Civilization is the greatest thing that has happened in human history. Remember this, my friends. He who has the gold makes rules. Now, take this scenario, for example. I'm going downtown with a group of boys, and I'm the only one who have cash in my pocket. Definitely, all the boys will be following me around town because they don't have any money, while I'm the only one who have the money. So what I'm basically trying to drive here is economy determines our political strength, and our political strength depends greatly on how strong our economy is. Hence, economic development is far more important than reducing the emission of gas into the atmosphere. For your information, we can go ahead complaining about global warming, but we must know that there are measures being already put in place internationally and locally. Now, one measure that is put in place to control and reduce the emission of gas into the atmosphere is the Kyoto Protocol that was signed in Copenhagen, not Mountain Hagen, but Copenhagen in Canada on June 2010. Now, this Kyoto Protocol basically restricts countries to emit a certain amount of gas into the atmosphere. In that way, we are reducing the emission of gas into the atmosphere internationally. So there is already a measure being put in place. Now, if we look locally, look across there, the government of the day has already come up with the Office of Climate Change. Now, the Office of Climate Change is a measure that is being created by our government to reduce, that is in this case, the emission of gas into the atmosphere. So, what more are we complaining about? There are already measures put in place to reduce this fact. Therefore, we must mainly concentrate on the economic development of our country. Now, our recommendation as the government politically is, with the government of the day, we have already created the Office of Climate Change. More mandate, therefore, now must be given to the Office of Climate Change to strengthen, to control and regulate industries in our country to follow the policies signed under the Kyoto Protocol in Copenhagen, Canada. Now, I appeal, I urge each and every one of you, citizens of this country, those of you watching me right now, and those of you in front of me, let us all stand up, flap our wings, and let's fly high with our economy. I invite you to come with us politically and economically so that we will fly with our economy. So therefore, I would like to reaffirm our stand as the government of the day that we strongly believe that economic development is far more important than reducing greenhouse emissions. Thank you very much.
Round of applause for the second speaker of Kokopo Secondary, Hilary Waluka. Let me now call upon the second speaker of Vuna Bosco Technical Secondary, Ignatius Ogobi. The team going against the topic, economic development is more important than reducing greenhouse gas emissions.
Thank you, Chairperson, and the audience. Environmental issues are no longer luxury, but matters of life and death. So before I go on to present my arguments, let me first of all rebut the point mentioned by my fellow government, or the fellow affirmation. He said something about the measures put in place already. Now, did the Office of Climate Change, did the roof absorb carbon? Now tell me, did the roof absorb carbon? They are just doing paperwork. We don't want things to be done tomorrow because tomorrow never comes. When you plan for things, do it now. Changes are now. And when you say you are civilization has taken place before, well, civilization comprises of people who have educated. Okay, now I tell you something. Why not you look at positive, when you said that we should look at positive side of things, okay? So, see, why not you proceed on to the development of the economic of our country without doing damage to our environment? Without doing damage to our environment. Well, this is the positive side of thing that you should look at. Anyway, back to my point. Economic development is not important than reducing greenhouse gas emissions. Firstly, with the statements accompanying the picture of the earth in peril simply means earth in danger. In how many in the duration of that, and the quality does not only depend on immutable laws of physics. You know, for man has already come in a certain point where he has to affect for better to the west that it will affect the environment that now we are living in. According to a computer projection that is presented by Albert Gore, or commonly known as Al Gore, he presented that carbon dioxide in the atmosphere increases the rate of temperature and also increases the chlorofluorocarbons that got stuck into our ozone layer, causing the thickening of the ozone layer that causes high radiation of sun to us, the people. That's why we are experiencing ray bans or sun bans, and now we are wasting money to pay for the medicines, chemists, tuna, what you are calling them to treat yourselves. For example, when you see, according to Dr. Gali, a member working in the US Department of Transportation, he predicted that in some years' time, the world will be experiencing a world war over resources. And that is true. As I have learned in one of my really RI classes, one of the famous saying, it goes like this: God always forgives, man seldom forgives, but nature never forgives. Take note of this. God always forgives, man seldom forgives, but nature never forgives. In another note, a wrath of nature is a wrath of God. And my second point, when we are more into putting our species into extinction, we are losing some of the, most of the valuable, unique values that could not be replaced in the future. So, as the saying goes by, Albert Gore, or the former vice president of US, he stated something that what goes wrong is not the thing that we know. What goes into trouble is what we don't know. But what we forcefully know just ain't so. So, to recommend about social and environmental aspect of my little piece that I've shared it among you, I recommend that the government should launch an international tree planting program. Secondly, the government should put more money into research work so that there is another alternatives rather than spoiling our environment, so that our economy can grow without damaging our environment. So, as a member of the opposing side, I strongly stand on my ground and say once again that economic development is not important than reducing gas emissions. Thank you very much.
Round of applause for the second speaker of Vuna Bosco going against the topic, Ignatius Ogobi. Are we learning something? Yes, I am. Very interesting. Right, so let me now introduce to you our third speaker of the affirmative team, Kokopo Secondary, going for the topic, economic development is more important than reducing greenhouse gas emission. Manila Teriki Fariata.
Good day, Chair Lady, adjudicators, fellow debaters, and viewers all over the country. We, your government for today, are here to convince you that economic development is more important than reducing greenhouse gas emission. Amazingly, our opponents have said that something about the heat on the roof of our country. Papua New Guinea has a good environment, and the life of climate change has already been taking proactive measure to reduce greenhouse gas emission. Therefore, PNG should move on with the development. Let me take you through our economical aspect to enlighten your views on our issues. Firstly, economical growth. If we take a look at our balance of payment, you will see that we are facing a balance of payment deficit because of the large amount of imports coming into our country and the shortage of amount of exports going out. We need economical development because we can't sit like beggars waiting for aid from international donors. We need economical development to fund our own projects in Papua New Guinea. Through that, we can become competitive and come up to par. When we improve our economical development, we will have major benefits in consumer sovereignty. And by that, I mean we will have the power to choose what to buy, we will have the power to choose what kind of goods and services to buy to improve our standard of living so that it reflects our continuous economical development in our country. As a developing country, we need to be economically powerful. We need to say that if we are economically powerful, we will have the power to address such issues through our Office of Climate Change that we, the government, have established in our country. Secondly, reduction of greenhouse gas emission is not our problem. As Papua New Guineans, our economic development should not be held ransom to other countries' greenhouse emissions. Let me explain to you chart 2.6 on the Kyoto Protocol, an agreement dated June 2010, signed in Copenhagen, Canada. In regard to mitigation, it shows that all industrialized countries have limited emitting greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. This shows that control measures have been taken by the global community. By mitigation, I mean controlled measures. Example, industrialized countries have been assigned to emit safe amounts of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, which means controlled measures have already been taken. I repeat, controlled measures have already been taken. To conclude, sustainability of economical development will greatly empower the development of all sectors economically, politically, socially. Therefore, we recommend that people must work hand in hand in order to support the economical development in the country, and not to give in easily to the greenhouse effect, because we are supposed to be innovative, proactive, and creative. Therefore, we, the government, strongly believe that economic development is more important than reducing greenhouse gas emissions. Thank you.
Round of applause for the third speaker of Manila, for Kokopo Secondary, Manila Teriyaki Fariata. Let me now introduce to you our third speaker of Vuna Bosco Secondary, going against the topic, economic development is more important than reducing greenhouse gas emission. Edward Park.
Okay. Thank you, Chairperson, members of the affirmative side, judges, the audience, and the viewers out there. Good morning to you all. Before I go on to present my arguments, I would like to take this time to rebut against a point stated by my fellow affirmative. He mentioned something about greenhouse effect. It's not our problem. But you see, this greenhouse effect, it's not our problem, but it is a global issue. You see, what happened in Tuvalu? Now, the Australian government is negotiating with the New Zealand government, trying their best to relocate the people of Tuvalu. Tuvalu is an innocent country, but you see, this greenhouse effect has affected them. Similarly, Papua New Guinea is an innocent country, but if this thing affected us, what are we going to do? Greenhouse effect is a global issue, bear in mind. Anyway, back to my points. We, the opposition side, strongly believe that economic development is not important than reducing greenhouse gas emissions because of the following reasons. Firstly, in the economic development, governments, especially governments in developing countries, only exploit their resources to earn money, to repay foreign debts, for misuse and misappropriation of public funds. For example, in PNG, the Papua New Guinea government currently has about 4 to 6 billion foreign debts, which they are still repaying since independence. Secondly, the government has to join the global community towards the war on the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. Otherwise, we lose our international relations with other countries. Government of developed countries like USA, Germany, and Britain have been taking the lead in low carbon emission. Mind you, America, USA, Germany, and Britain are our major trading partners. If we do not comply with international policies, we are definitely losing fame in the international market, especially trade. Now, let me give you this scenario. Let's say a group of athletics team, they have been selected to go for nationals competition. Now, they have been practicing like for weeks, days, months, weeks, they have been practicing. But one member of the group never attended the practice. Now, on the last day, the member decided to show up. What do you think will happen to this athlete? This athlete will simply be removed by the coach or the trainer of the team, simply because he decided to come up at the end of something, which just came out from nowhere. Similarly, this will happen to us, Papua New Guineans, if we do not comply with international policies and we do not back up our major trading partners, USA, Germany, and Britain, Great Britain. Yeah. Okay. According to Sir Julius Chen, in his article, Environment Comes First, published in the Post-Courier of February 16, 1988. Now, do not ask me whether I exist at this time because I was not yet born at the time. It was just a source taken from the book titled, What on Earth Are We Doing? Sir J stated that the environment is a growing global issue. PNG is part of an international community, and we cannot isolate ourselves from such an issue. That leads on to my third point. In the name of economic development, government policies regarding natural resources are being relaxed and bypassed by government officials or politicians in issuing contracts to companies that may have questionable operational methods. Example, a classical example is in Malaysia, where due to relaxing of policies by the governments, now the armed payment tribes have joined forces with environmentalists in an effort to stop ramp-out logging. In recommendation, I would like to say that the nations should make environmental review an integral part of lending procedures within nations so that local banks are prevented from providing funds for projects that destroys environment. Now, I would like to say once again about what one of my speakers had mentioned earlier on. God always forgives. Man seldom forgives. Nature never forgives. What you do to the nature will do it to you. So therefore, I would like to say once again that the economic development is not important. Is not important. Is not important than reducing greenhouse gas emissions. Thank you.
Round of applause for the third speaker of Vuna Bosco Secondary going against the topic, Edward Park. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the final round of the IBS School Debate Competition here in Kokopo, hosted by Kokopo Secondary, and is proudly brought to you by our partners, Kundu 2, NBC, and New Guinea, our official carrier, and major sponsors, National Capital District, Honorable Governor Powers Pakop, LNA Group of Companies, National Gaming Control Board, Brian Bell, Office of Climate Change, Electoral Commission, NAS Fund, Ipatas Foundation for Anger Debate, and Honorable Luther Wenge for Lay Debate. And thank you, Kokopo Secondary, for hosting the school debate competition. The topic for debate today, economic development is more important than reducing greenhouse gas emission. The team going for the topic, Kokopo Secondary, and team going against the topic, Vuna Bosco Secondary. Let me now introduce to you our final speaker of Kokopo Secondary, going for the topic, Raymond Kalai.
Miss Chair Lady, adjudicators, fellow debaters, my attentive audience, and viewers on Kundu TV. Sorry. Okay. As the government of the day, we would like to invite you to jump on the bandwagon with us, and let me clarify to you that economic development is more important than reducing greenhouse gas emission. I find it hard to comprehend that the opposition has mentioned that economic development is not important. Let me state it this way. Economic development is part of human. If it was not for economic development, we would not be here. Just look at it from this perspective. We came from the Ice Age, we came from the Stone Age to the Ice Age and all the ages between, and now we are at the computer age. We did not just jump over the ages to come here. It is because of economic development. And mind you, PNG is part of that Kyoto Protocol that was placed. It is not something that Papua New Guinea is not part of. Papua New Guinea is part of this Kyoto Protocol, and it is a measure taken by the whole world to restrict carbon emission, greenhouse emission by developed countries. Also, it was mentioned that we will lose our environment. Let me tell you this, the theory of ice to sea. The world does not grow bigger, nor does it grow smaller. Meaning that if this world is getting hotter, more water is evaporating up into the atmosphere, thus it is replenishing the water that is lost. So as you can see, greenhouse gases is part of us. As now as I am speaking to you, greenhouse gases are emitted into the atmosphere. We humans are part of this. We are emitting greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. This simply means that it is a natural part of life. We should not fear it. How come we have lived for so many years with this and all of a sudden we take it as a threat? Let us not be pessimistic, people. Let us be optimistic, and let us be optimistic, which means that we have to look at the brighter side of things. Let us take Japan for that matter. Japan was a country as Papua New Guinea, was once a country as Papua New Guinea. But now look at Japan where it is now. It is one of the most developed countries in the world. Not because it limited its greenhouse gases, but because it sacrificed. And this is what I'm here to tell you. We have to sacrifice to get somewhere. Let me paint it to you this way. If I am diagnosed with diabetes and my hand is infected with this disease, will I just let it and then it will affect me or destroy me or kill me? Or will I sacrifice this hand and amputate it so that I can live? You can see where I'm getting from. As you can see, it is part of us, and we have to make sacrifices because, as you can see, as we have heard, we have so much societal problems because of economic problems in PNG. As stated in the 2010 World Health Organization research, PNG has the worst health and education system in the world. Man, I don't know about you, but as a young leader of this nation, I've taken to heart that it is very depressing to me. And we also have this crime rate and literacy rate. People, look here. We cannot achieve this if we do not have economic growth. Economic growth is what we can do to curb these problems. And as you can see, there was something stated by the opposition that we will die because of the nature. Okay, but then we will die of sickness if we don't produce medicine. And medicine produces greenhouse gases. Okay? People listen. We need political power to have a say in the world stage. This means that we cannot have political power if we do not have economical power. Look at USA for instance. USA is one of the most developed countries in the world. And are you going to tell me that they are the least in terms of political power in the world? No. They are one of the best political powers in the world. It is because of their economic growth. And because of economic growth, we can have say of carbon trade as stated by the opposition. Carbon trade is when we dictate terms to them. If you want to do business with us, okay, you restrict a certain amount of carbon dioxide emission into the air. So now you can see, PNG, we are trying to limit this. We are trying to find solutions. We are not the problem to this, but we are presenting solutions to these developed countries. As you can see, Papua New Guinea is a third world country. Come on. I am not about here to be held ransom because of other developed countries. Other developed countries are economically comfortable, meaning that they have a good health structure, they have a good education structure, and they can do whatever because they have this political power. And we should not be held ransom because we have a depressing and GDP GDP means gross domestic product, and we have a low gross national product, and also we do not we do not export more, but we import more, meaning that we have a balance of payment deficit. And when we have a balance of payment deficit, we don't have a say on what is called we don't have a say on what goods we buy, because when you go to a Chinese store, because we are economically low, because we see a radio that is damaged, but we just buy it, because we don't have the power to choose. Listen here, we need economic development, people. And I repeat, we need economic development. And as you can see, Papua New Guinea is not part of this. We are not developed, we don't have these big factories that emit these greenhouse effects, greenhouse gases. But let me state to you that we have taken part, we have taken measures that we can counterattack this by being part of the protocol, the Kyoto Protocol that was instituted in the Copenhagen in Canada in June 2010. So let me state to you this. We are not part of it, but we're taking the initiative. So look here, why are we taking this initiative? And at the same time, they are depriving us of our economic growth. We need economic growth to survive in this ever-competitive world. Therefore, as the government side, we strongly believe that our government has already put in place strategies. In the 2050 objectives, it states that we will develop policies and organizational structures to address climate change and sustainability development. Did you get that right? Sustainability development. This means that we will develop, but at the same time, we will take measured control. So as you can see, people, greenhouse gas emission is part of us. It is here to stay. We will die, but greenhouse gas emission will be here. Why are we letting this deprive our rights to become a powerful nation in this world? Come on, citizens of this PNG, listen. Let us not be misled to thinking that this is the end of the world because of this greenhouse gas emission and we should restrict our economic development. No, we should go for economic development because we need economic development, and we should not be held ransom for someone else's fault. You get me here, people? And I want to stress that as the government of the day, we hope that we convince, and would you like to jump on the bandwagon with us and move forward to make PNG to move forward through economic development, so Papua New Guinea will become a power to reckon with the world. And we as the young leaders of this nation ask you to come with us and be proactive, be innovative, and be creative to situations that are beyond our control and that are things that are part of us. So therefore, please, you must listen and please be with the affirmative side that we have convinced you that greenhouse gas emission is just a minor part, but economic development can mean the life of your nation or the death of your nation. So let us choose prosperity and let us choose economic development. Thank you.
Round of applause for the last and final speaker of Kokopo Secondary going for the topic, economic development is more important than reducing greenhouse gas emission. Let me now introduce to you our last and final speaker of Vuna Bosco Secondary going against the topic, economic development is more important than greenhouse gas emission. Round of applause for Stuart Coltes.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, my fellow debaters and the audience. Before I go on to round up our arguments, I would like to take this time to rebut on certain points stated by the several affirmative members. First of all, they say something about PNG is very poor and we need to boost our economy. But let me tell you this, PNG may be poor, but when you ask Australia is using mobile phone, PNG is using it. Electricity, PNG is still using it. But you ask Japan about forest, PNG. Yes, forest, Australia don't have, and Japan. You see, that's the point. That shows we are rich. We are rich. Next, you're talking about economic development. But what if you destroy these things? If you destroy them, then you're talking about trade that you're going to export and get all these things. Sorry, I'm not an economic student. I'm a science student, but let me get you right. You're talking about exports and imports. But let me tell you, if you want to sustain this, then practice sustainability in economic development, okay? We have to practice sustainability so that we have resources still there. If you're going to use it once and for all, cut all the trees and go for export, what will you have for the next generation? Nothing. They were mentioning something about Kyoto Protocol. To tell you the fact, I'm really happy with Kyoto Protocol. Because it comes in line with my point that we are still reducing greenhouse effect. Yes, I'm happy with Kyoto Protocol, sorry. So balance of payment that I have stated, you're talking about balance of payment, where will our future generation go if we are cutting all those trees? There's a question for you to go and sleep and reflect on. We are talking about greenhouse effect, it's natural. But let me ask you a question for you to reflect on once again. Sorry, I'm giving you too many questions. Natural, but are factories natural? Factories. Next, we are stating something that we have to look on brighter side of things. But if you are going to look on brighter side of things, look on sustainability. Look on sustainability. Anyway, back to my points. Developing countries like PNG are very hungry for money for economic development and have been extracting fossil fuels and minerals, exploiting their own resources. However, let me tell you that there are still some friendly ways that we can achieve our economy without damaging the environment. Take, for example, the practice of eco-tourism. With your forest, you can just invest with your forest. My goodness, you see, just look after your forest, and then people just come take a glance of it, you got the box already. Instead of cutting everything, and later on, tomorrow, you have nothing at all. So, let me tell you this should be in lines that will help and create development without damaging the environment. So, for example, again, a first step like that was given to ban the CFCs, the reduction of CFCs that form plastic foams and these coolants in refrigerators and in air conditioners. These have emissions are estimated to around 15% emissions of greenhouse effect. So these are things. So, in the name of progress, forests are being denuded. Water ground aquifers are pumped dry. Man is recklessly destroying life on earth. It causes acid rains and change in weather patterns. Let me get you back to the scene of this climate, or global warming. Global warming, when the sun radiates the heat down to the earth, then it bounces on the surface of the earth, going back to the outer space. But if it goes back to the outer space, when we human beings are reducing these CFCs, they go up to the earth and they form this carbon dioxide, this especially carbon mixing up with oxygen, and then they form a heavy gas which traps this heat from going back out from the outer space. So what happens next? It is being trapped. So global warming, and then change in weather patterns, rise in sea levels, all these things we are facing, hurricanes, destroying everything. This results from global warming, and if we are not concerned about reducing greenhouse effect, that is where the world will end. So, fellow leaders of tomorrow, I'm urging you, let's sign a treaty with nature. Let's sign a treaty with nature. So, no compromise in the defense of Mother Earth. There is no compromise in the defense of Mother Earth, let me tell you. The heat waves, droughts, hurricanes may be previews of what could happen with ever-increasing frequency in atmosphere warms from 2 to 5 degrees Celsius in the next centuries, like the scientists predicted. So it's a real cataclysm. We can see this. Once again, the forest is removed, fertility rapidly declines. These hold large amounts of water that are evaporated into the up into the atmosphere, and they are reduced as rain. They are being dropped down as rains that cools the air. So if we are concerned with economic development, then let's not bully the natural process. Let them take place freely. So it's sustainability. It's sustainability. So like the oppositions have stated, God always forgives. Man seldom forgives, but nature never ever will forgive you. So with the recommendations, I would like to say again that I believe it is a moral issue. It is your time to seize this issue and to rise again, to secure your future. It is the time now. So how can we do this? How can we all live and change our life to follow this? The climate crisis can be solved. Yes, how to start? First, you begin by reducing carbon emissions into the atmosphere. First, that's the first point. Learn how to run or manage our forests sustainably, in a sustainable way, And so the surrounding forest is protected, young leaders of tomorrow. Limit the removal of timber. We have to replant our forest areas, take initiative. Stop lighting fires unnecessarily in the forest. Let's be environment friendly. Learn about resources, because if we learn about resources, we learn about their uses, we take ownership of these resources. We will not want to destroy them. They are part of us. And one thing, it's very serious, is we have to discuss this. Discuss the issues that could be a threat to our Mother Earth. We, the future leaders, what will our future generations see? Like what our great-great-parents have bring us to this point now. We are seeing things. Will they be explained? Will they be able to explain a parrot like now we are able to do? See this. So, I do believe that economic development should be discussed in terms of sustainable, I repeat, sustainable development, and not just economic development. It should be in a sense that there is a right mix of preference and careful use of natural resources to drive economic growth. So, let's take, for example, creating a policy involving logging companies to in reforestation rules or process. This is one way. Next is like using of renewable sources of energy. This is another way. Or like what I've stated earlier on about ecotourism. These are possible ways, and they are sustainable ways that we can hold out Earth to the future, and without stating that everyone is going down, so what's the use of waiting? Let's also do it. Let's also develop. But mind you, everyone is watching and everyone is coming back to PNG. If we are going to give away with this, where else will all of us go? They are depending on us. They're depending on us. Yes. So in PNG, we have several organizations that are also concerned with environmental issues. The Melanesian Environment Fund aims to promote awareness, care, and concern for the environment, same as the Friends of Earth Environment. So this group helps in campaigns like disappearing forests, pollution of sea or land, and all this stuff. So other related issues. So I'm telling you, we, the grassroots, listen carefully to this. We are the grassroots level in PNG. People may wish to see traditional hunting or fishing grounds preserved for the use of future generations. The use of guns instead of traditional weapons and the cutting down of forests for its valuable timbers are both ways that changes the face of the environment that our future generations will not see. It is a time for us to stand up. Economic development, you are saying economic development, but what's the use if it is destroying humanity? What's the use if there are tall buildings, infrastructure, apartments, but the cycle of life is being destroyed? I cannot see a good use there. So I would like to conclude on the opposition side by strongly stating here that we, the opposition, go that economic development is not and is not important than reduction of gas emissions into the atmosphere. Thank you very much.
Round of applause for the final speaker of Vuna Bosco Secondary, Stuart Coltest. Sorry. Now, have we learned something? Extremely brilliant presentation from these two schools here, and I'm overwhelmed with the presentation. Don't you think? And what's the theme of the IBS School Debate Competition? And don't you think that this is doing something good for them? Yeah, it's brilliant. Well done, Kokopo. I think that has brought us to the end of our final round here at Kokopo IBS School Debate Competition between the two schools, Kokopo Secondary and Vuna Bosco Secondary. The topic for debate between the two schools: economic development is more important than reducing greenhouse gas emission. And I know that we're all anxious to know the results. Shortly you'll find out. But before we do so, I'd like to let us give a round of applause for the two schools. Well done. Great presentation, great research, great work. Very brilliant. I'm sure we're all proud of you, and I think the whole Papua New Guinea will be proud of these kids up here. And the viewers and the audience of Kundutu, I hope you're enjoying the great debate between these two schools. Let me now ask the schools to shake hands, and you may take your seats. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and viewers of Kundutu, to the IBS School Debate Competition Grand Final Round in Kokopo, hosted by Kokopo Secondary. We are now about to announce the results, who is going to represent East New Britain for the IBS National Debate Competition in Port Moresby. But before we do that, we would like to invite one of our adjudicators to come and give the judging remarks. Mrs. Eleonora Vigil, Principal of Olsh.
Thank you, Chair Lady, adjudicators, teachers, principals, students, ladies and gentlemen. I'm lost for words. I do not know what to say. Being an adjudicator in front, I found it very difficult to judge. And that is because the two schools did extremely well. I cannot put any of the two schools up or down. I feel that both of them did very well. And that is a credit for East New Britain and for Kokopo. A lot of times we argue, we say English, the standard of English is dropping. But the result in here just showed us that the standard of English is increasing. It's going up. And so my only remarks is I'd like to thank the teachers who prepared them. You prepared them well, very well. You build these students to become future leaders, and that's what we are trying to achieve in this debate. To the students, arguing is a skill. And you can only argue if you have something to contribute constructively to your school, your province, your nation as a whole. When we argue, we must always argue constructively for the betterment of you as an individual and whoever that is around you. And with that, to the Vuna Bosco students, to the two schools, Kokopo Secondary, I would like to congratulate you for the job well done. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Eleonora Vigil, Principal of Olsh. Okay, before we get into the announcing the results, we have to do a presentation first, and then we'll go to the highlight of the day for today. I'm not sure if the other schools are here. The other schools, George Brown High School, Malaguna, Utmay, St. Mary's, and Malabanga Secondary. I think we will also acknowledge their participation here in the IBS School Debate Competition. George Brown High School, Malaguna Technical Secondary, Utmay Secondary School, St. Mary's River Secondary, and Malabanga Secondary. Round of applause for those schools who have taken part in the IBS School Debate Competition here in Kokopo. If I can call Ms. Joycelyn Porapor to come forward and present the certificate of appreciation to the schools that have participated in the IBS School Debate Competition Kokopo. We're in our presentation, doing the presentation now, so. If I can call upon the principal of Kokopo to come forward and receive certificate of appreciation from us for participating in the IBA School Debate Competition. Mr. Raya. Thank you, Kokopo Secondary. If I can also call upon the principal of Vuna Bosco to come forward to receive the certificate of participation from. No, you may remain standing, don't run away. Thank you, Vuna Bosco, for participating. We'd also like to acknowledge the participant to give them the certificate of participation and the medals, and also the consolation prize from IBS. The other schools are not here, so we'll just get straight into the two schools that are here. If I may call upon the first speaker of Vuna Bosco Technical Secondary, Hubert Tulungenaram. Come forward. Come forward. The second speaker of Vuna Bosco, Ignatius Ogobe. When you come, you receive and stay there because we're going to get a group photo. And the third speaker, Edward Park of Vuna Bosco Secondary. And the final speaker of Vuna Bosco Secondary, Stuart Colters. And we'd also like to call upon Mr. Clifford also to come and get your consolation prize from IBS as well. Token of appreciation, really. If we can have a group pose so that we'll have a good photo taken, please. Come with your, together with. Yep. Great, it's okay. Tight. Round of applause for Vuna Bosco Secondary. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Miss Joycelyn Poraporo. If I can call upon Miss Eleanor Vijay to come forward and present the next certificates. Okay, the first speaker of Kokopo Secondary, Penina Robertson. The second speaker of Kokopo Secondary, Hilary Waluka. The third speaker of Kokopo Secondary, Manila Teriaki Fariata. And the final speaker of Kokopo Secondary, Raymond Kalai. I would like to call upon the teacher, Mr. Eugene Kuo, to come forward as well. Thank you very much. Don't go yet, we'll take a group photo. Congratulations to Kokopo Secondary. We'll take a group photo. Please pose for photo, thank you. Yes. No, I don't have it. Paul didn't give it to me. Paul didn't give it to me. Yeah, just tick who which ones. Thank you very much. But before we announce the winners, I'd like to call upon Mr. Philip Song, Guidance Officer, to give his remarks.
Thank you, Chair Lady. Ladies and gentlemen, before I speak, let me talk. Firstly, I'd like to introduce myself into bits and pieces. Thank you so much, IBS. During my time, we used to have grade 10 quiz. And the late John Billy Tokome used to be the quiz master. And schools around Papua New Guinea would attend and challenge in the quiz championships. And that has died out so many years ago. We now go into debate. And I thank IBS for taking the lead in this activity. As a result, we've seen young people come out here and show their talents. And the biggest thing that you young people should work on is public speaking. I have the talent in speaking, that's why I speak fluently. And I want you to develop that, because you can only be a leader if you can stand up and talk. Politely, publicly, loudly, and people can take you and understand you. I went to school in Australia, and my last assignment was debate with 8 white men and women. And the professor sat on the side, and I had to challenge in a debate in order to gain marks before I can graduate. If I didn't, I wouldn't graduate. When my time came for me to speak, and I stood and spoke in front of these white men and women, and the professor told me, Philip, Mr. Son, you know what? You will make a good politician. And I said, why? And she said, Professor told me that you have convinced even me, who is the judge of you today. And I've given all the points to you, and you are going to graduate. Young people, I am proud today to see that young people in our province can stand up and talk. Let's give them a hand. And once again, on behalf of the Division of Education, the Department of Education, and the people of East New Britain, the head teachers, the principals of East New Britain, we are proud to say that we have done well. And we'd like to say thank you so much to IBS in order that you came and brought out these young talents. And we know who they are, and they'll be our future leaders. I am going to be dead and gone tomorrow. I want to leave behind a legacy where young people can see me and become role models of tomorrow. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Thank you, Mr. Philip Song. Did I say it right? You're right. Thank you. Okay, the time has come to announce who is going to represent East New Britain to the IBS national titles. Who do you think? Sorry, who do you think? Why are you supporting COSEC? You're supposed to say, okay, good. That's a spirit, both. Win-win, you know, but the system don't allow that. It's going to be only one winner. But they are both winners in the end. We have to see it that way. We must think win-win. Don't think like, okay, me like win narapla by lose. No, God. Must think win-win. Okay, so let me call upon the 2 schools to come forward on stage. We're going to shortly announce the results, and if I can ask Mr. Johnny Ko to come forward. Yes, already. In a straight line, I think. Yeah. Let's squeeze. Hey? That's it. You nervous? Ladies and gentlemen, viewers of Kundu 2, we are about to announce the results of the IBS School Debate Competition finals here in Kokopo, hosted by Kokopo Secondary. I think I must have misplaced the scoring sheet. Just kidding. congratulations to the two schools. They have done brilliantly well, and I'm sure that they're going to give a challenge to Port Moresby and Ley, and also Enga Province as well. Announcing the grand final winner of the IBS School Debate Competition here in Kokopo goes to Kokopo Secondary. With the score, it was a close tie. Difference of 17 points. Kokopo Secondary scoring about 1,317. Vuna Bosco 1,300, and you can see it's very, very close. Well done. The shield. Well done to two schools. If I had it my way, I'll fly two schools to Moresby. Get a group photo. Come, we'll get a group photo. Yes, yeah. Don't go yet. We'll announce the best speaker and the best speaker for male and best speaker for female as well. And it's judge's choice. The male speaker, the best male speaker goes to the last speaker of Vuna Bosco, Stuart Coltis. And the best speaker for the female goes to Kokopo Secondary, Manila Teriaki Fariata. Kokopo Secondary has now qualified for the IBS National Debate Competition in Port Moresby, challenging Enga, Ley, and Port Moresby. So here they come. Would you like to say a few words? And audience, if you want to say some remarks, feel free to come forward and share your experience, basically.
Thank you very much. I don't know what to say right now, but whew, firstly, I'd like to take this opportunity to, on behalf of my fellow teammates and my fellow Kokopo Secondary School students and the school administration, I would like to personally thank IBS for coming up with such a great initiative and bring about this event, the school debate competitions. It has brought out the best of us, the best that we can give. So I want to salute the IBS for doing that. I would also like to thank Kundutu for televising this program. Thank you very much, Kundutu. I would also want to appreciate, I would also like to appreciate some of the partners and the major sponsors that have brought this program into what it is now and made it a success. I would also like to thank the participating schools and most importantly thank the Bosconians for guys, I seriously take my hats off and I want to thank you for bringing the best out of us and I don't know what to say. Thanks guys, thanks a lot. And I think I've said a lot. To all the participating schools, thanks, thank you very much. And to the home crowd, thank you very much. Finally, Port Moresby, here we come. Get Would you
like to say something, Vuna Bosco?
Okay, once again, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you especially to IBS and the major sponsors and everyone, the partners, for making it possible for us to come here. We also, first of all, would like to thank our administration for good support that has been given to us. Especially Mr. Jerry was there, or being with us. And also Kokopo Secondary for hosting this school debate. And once again, I can say that this has bring out something in us. So I would like to congratulate Kokopo Secondary and also to say you guys have given us a very good challenge also. And it's a two-way process, like we bring out the best in you, you bring out the best in us. So, that it is within us. So once again, thank you everyone. Thank you very much to everyone. And to really say to you guys, you have give us something that we will always treasure. Thank you in our life.
Well, thank you very much. I'm actually extremely overwhelmed with the outcome of the presentation that these kids have done, and I'm sure that we are building leaders in our nation, and young generation, that's the way forward. We've got to invest our time in the kids so that they have some focus and commitment to drive this nation forward. So thank you very much for all your contributions in making this debate a success here in Kokopo. Well done, Kokopo. Thank you. Adjudicators, thank you very much. Timekeepers and the audio sound production, thank you. Kokopo Secondary School for hosting this debate competition and your hospitality as well. And to all the schools, teachers, students, and participants, congratulations. IBS School Debate Competition is proudly brought to you by our partners, Kundutu, NBC, and New Guinea, our official carriers, major sponsor, National Capital District Commission, National Gaming Control Board, Electoral Commission, Office of Climate Change, LNA Group of Companies, NASFAN, Brian Bell, Ipatus Foundation for Enga Debate, and of course, Honorable Luther Wenge for the late debate as well. We will be heading to Enga next week to conduct the final round of the IBS School Debate Competition, and I hope all the viewers can join us for the Enga IBS School Debate Competition as well. Currently, Kundu 2 is telecasting on Kundu 2, the NCD Central Debate. I think it's around 5 p.m. and replayed in the evening. Once that is finished, we will telecast Lay. After Lay, we will telecast Kokopo. So switch to Kundu 2 TV to watch the great debate from our very young potential leaders. Congratulations, everyone, and thank you so much. We enjoyed our stay while we're here, and I'm sure we have developed that friendship with you and us. So thank you very much. Congratulations. That has brought us to the end of our session. Thank you, one and all. Thank you.